All right, we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Empowerment Podium after a brief hiatus. This is our 19th live stream for the Empowerment Podium, so super exciting. And I just want to, for those that are returning, welcome you back. And for those that are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are joining us today, and I really hope that you'll stick around. You can join this community by subscribing to this channel, following us on Instagram and TikTok, and liking us on Facebook. The links to those socials are in the description down below. I'm so happy to be joined by today's speaker on such a unique topic. Today we're going to be following a TED Talk style format, followed by a Q&A session. So if you want to get in on that Q&A and you have a question for today's speaker, please feel free to submit any questions you have in the chat, and we'll try our best to get to those during the Q&A. So without further ado, I'd like to present today's speaker. Today we're joined by Amber Griggs. Amber is an advocate for finding happiness in the least likely situations. She likes to look at challenges as, what is this trying to teach me, instead of why is this happening to me? Life throws us all curveballs, and it's up to us on how we handle these situations. Her goal is to help others slowly change their mindset and find freedom in having control over what they think about. Today, she will be sharing her journey as a POTS warrior, from diagnosis to headgear to a wheelchair, and everything she's learned along the way. And with that, I will hand it over to Amber. Whoops, you're muted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, as Kay stated, my name is Amber Griggs, and I am excited to share my story with you. This story is going to begin fall of 2009. I was 24, had been married just over a year, and loved my beautiful life. But that day I'll never forget, because I was working on the phones in customer service and had a complex question. So I got up from my desk to walk a very short distance over to a friend for help. And as I walked to her desk, my hands got clammy. I had a hot flash, and my mind just went blank. But when I got to her desk, I remember just kind of standing there, and she looked up at me and said, "Are you okay? You look like you don't feel well." And all I could get out was, "I don't feel well." And then I woke up on the floor. When I came to, I was in shock, embarrassed, and just purely exhausted. So we called my husband to come pick me up, and I went home and slept for the rest of the day. We followed up with my family doctor, and they couldn't find anything, so they advised it was just stress and just to keep continuing on. But then over the next several weeks, I started fainting multiple times a week, and sometimes multiple times a day, along with many other symptoms that no one could explain. My husband and I knew something else was going on besides stress, so we started a long journey to find answers. And after 2 long years of different doctors and tests, I was finally diagnosed with POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. This is a form of dysautonomia, which is an umbrella term used for conditions where your autonomic nervous system doesn't work right. So, for example, some of the things that I struggle with is digestion, bladder issues, your lungs, your heart, temperature regulation, and so much more. And that's why it took 2 years to get a diagnosis, because there's so many different organs that were impacted. Now, with POTS, there's no cure, and especially at that time, there was very little treatment for it. But I was thrilled just to finally have an answer, someone to confirm this wasn't all in my head, and that, I know what's going on, so now we can just find a way to tackle it. I decided I needed to keep moving forward, slow and steady, just like a turtle, because I love turtles. But on my continued journey, I was like a fainting goat. I was passing out everywhere I went. I would pass getting up to go to the bathroom or to go to a meeting. And during that time, though, I did have some really hard falls, and the result of that was concussions, and my memory was starting to be impacted. But despite that, I kept smiling and pushing forward, because that's just who I am. But I just kept going on, and it got to the point where my husband and doctors sat me down for a hard conversation and reminded me that one day I was going to hit my head the wrong way and not wake up. And I was in a bit of denial at that time, and it was hard for me to accept this and hear what they had to say. But I realized that I needed to listen for my own well-being and for my family as well. So the options that they presented me with were a headgear or wheelchair. And I wasn't ready for a wheelchair yet, so I opted for headgear. And I did a lot of research and found this pink custom boxing helmet, which I wore for years. And this thing has literally saved my life. Thankfully, technology has gotten better. And now I have this awesome little headband that's made for athletes that I wear, and it's not near as noticeable, and it still protects concussions. So that's a win. But on my continued journey, my symptoms progressed, and it got to the point where I was struggling to do daily tasks, like take a shower or even take my dogs out. And so I had to have another hard conversation with my doctors, and we made the decision for me to go on medical leave in my 20s. And I was supposed to be gone for 6 months and wound up being gone for about a year and a half. But here are a few, it wasn't all bad because there was a lot of things that I learned during that time off. So here are just a few of the things that I learned. I learned that my life is now a delicate balance of taking medicine and supplements, getting 9 to 10 hours of sleep, drinking 100 plus ounces of water, eating a ton of salt, and so much more. I learned that everything in life takes a lot of energy for me to do. So I had to start prioritizing my tasks and take it one day at a time, and sometimes even 1 minute at a time. But the biggest thing that I learned was that I had to make myself a priority and focus on my well-being instead of focusing on everyone else around me. And this one I'm still working on. But with a lot of therapy and an amazing support system like my kind husband, I learned that POTS doesn't have to define me. Instead of focusing on how bad I felt, I could choose to focus on the many beautiful things in life, like watching sunsets, snuggling with our dogs, laughing with friends. I really began to truly appreciate those small, beautiful moments. And after medical leave, I came back to work and decided that I needed some wheels to give me the freedom to go around the office without the fear of passing out. Insurance denied us. We did reach out to them, but they weren't familiar with the condition, so we paid for it out of pocket, which was no big deal, because those sweet wheels gave me the courage and freedom I was looking for to keep moving forward. I really love those wheels. About a year or so after me doing my daily rituals and focusing on everything that I had learned, I was thankfully doing a lot better. But right around that time, my dad, an amazing dad, also had his left leg amputated due to diabetes. So I gifted him my sweet wheels to use when he wasn't using his prosthetic. And he was super grateful and loved them just as much as I did. And as an added bonus, when the grandkids would come over to visit my parents' house, they would try to show Dad how to pop a wheelie, and that always provided a lot of laughs. But in 2014, Dad passed away, and the stress of that was causing me to flare and faint more often again. So we picked up the sweet wheels, and at this time, they were well used, as they should be. They were showing signs of wear and tear, cracks in the leather. They were a little squeaky when I opened and closed them, but I didn't care. All I focused on was the freedom they gave me. I was able to go to work without having to worry about passing out and still function. So I continued to use them. And it fast forward to 2018. We had just bought our first house. Insurance still wouldn't approve a new chair. We learned during this process how hard it is to get insurance to approve wheelchairs. And I was still grateful for the freedom these sweet wheels gave me. I decided there was no need to get a new chair at that time. I still had a great set of wheels that worked and so many other blessings in my life. And May of that same year, I started a new team at work, and I love to bring happiness to the world around me, so I started the happiness movement, which includes my epic bubble breaks. I really recommend you guys to try this sometime, because you can't frown while blowing a bubble, and it's a really good way to decompress. I would also share motivational quotes or inspirational quotes at team meetings. I would share motivational videos. And then we would also do icebreaker games so we could get to know one another. And this team quickly became my extended family. I loved them so much. Christmas of that year, they surprised me with an adorable wheelchair trinket. Look at this little guy. Because they got this for me because I keep trinkets on my desk. I love to be surrounded by the beauty of life, so I have all of these little trinkets. And I just thought this was the cutest little thing to add to my collection. I was so grateful for this. I was telling everybody. And then 2 weeks later, we had an impromptu team meeting. And when we go inside, I'm telling them how I recently saw my POTS doctor, my electrophysiologist, and I was telling him about this adorable trinket and how blessed I am to have them as my team. And they were all kind and listened. And after I shared my story, one of the team members presented, and I'm going to read this because I don't have it memorized, as I just know the exact wording because they were sneaky and they reported it without me noticing. But they said, "We on Plan Level appreciate you so much and everything that you've done since you've been with us. Your positive spirit, your positive influence, and your infectious smile is awesome. We know you've been going through some tough times the last 4 weeks or so, and you have challenges daily. So we wanted to give something back to you so you could have a little bit of cheer." I still. So he goes outside and comes back in with a beautiful custom-made wheelchair. I had no words. I just cried. I ugly cried right there in the office. And it was not only did they get me a new set of sweet wheels, but they ensured it was it was an exact replica of this. They made sure it was perfect. And they had code AG put on the back for Amber Griggs. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to cry. It was the most beautiful act of kindness I've ever experienced. And I will be forever grateful, and I'm going to carry this with me throughout the rest of my life. People talk about how mean and selfish the world is, but I see the complete opposite. I see a world where people are there for one another and build each other up. I see a world where there is love, light, and kindness spread every day by so many beautiful souls. And I hope you're able to see that beauty as well. And I'm going to leave you guys with a quote from Albus Dumbledore. "Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. So don't forget to turn on the light, friends." Thank you, Kay.
Wow, that was incredible, Amber. And it's so great to see your emotion there, because I think that just shows, how much that meant to you and how much good there is in the world, and it's hard to forget. And like Albus Dumbledore said, in the dark times, but it's there. And you just got to know how to turn on the light. So thank you so much for sharing such an inspiring story with us. I think you're an incredible example of light, and I hope that people can take that away from this. I know that we had planned on doing a small Q&A after, so if you're good to go, we can hop right into that portion.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Kay.
Awesome. Let's do it. All right, so despite the constant struggles with your health, even when it did not seem like it was improving, you kept pushing forward. You started initiatives like the happiness movement. It would have been so easy for you to just fall into depression or to give up, but you didn't. So did you ever have any struggles with mental health along the way, and what drove you to keep moving forward?
Thank you. That's a great question. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did struggle with mental health. I feel like everyone struggles with that, especially when they're going through something that they have absolutely no control over.
Mm-hmm.
But what helped me through it, honestly, was therapy. Because I needed help learning the coping skills on how to accept these new challenges that came my way. And one of the biggest takeaways that I learned from therapy is to, instead of focusing on all the losses that come along with this, focus on your small victories. So now I focus on, oh, I took the trash out today, or oh, I had the energy to shower, or I was able to get up.
Yeah.
But also my husband, like, he has been so amazing throughout this whole process. He has faith in me when I lose faith in myself, which, so he having his love and support along with many, I'm blessed. I do have a tribe that loves me and cares for me, and I realize that not everyone has that, and I'm very blessed to have that tribe help me through those times.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a theme on this channel is therapy is amazing. So
it is.
Yeah, you're just reiterating that, and I love it. I think, it's important to have open conversations about mental health, and it's not, the expectation should not be that you're okay all the time. So I think that it's awesome that you're open about that.
Yeah. It's okay to, I just also want to say there is such a thing as toxic positivity.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to promote that. It's okay to not be okay. I still have days where I cry and I get mad, and then I pick myself up the next day and it's like, all right, you got this. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah, one step at a time, like a turtle.
Yeah. Exactly. Slow and steady wins the race.
Love it. All right, so kind of piggybacking off that topic, let's kind of talk about medical leave side of it for a second. So, if people are fortunate enough to be offered this benefit, it's not something most ever think that they'll ever actually need, especially not, in their 20s. I'm sure you never anticipated needing to take a year and a half off yourself. So do you have any advice for anyone who's kind of grappling with the idea of taking leave, or who has to take leave, and how you kind of went through that process?
I'm just going to say, trust yourself. And, if you and your doctors feel like medical leave is the best option, don't be scared to take it. We have to learn to, even though it's scary and hard because you have to put life on hold, sometimes you just have to do that so you can still thrive later in life.
Right.
So just take care of yourself and do what you need to do to where you can get back to healthy again, and or at least to a point where you can enjoy life again.
Love it. Yeah, you've got to make sure that you're putting yourself first. I mean, it might seem like the end of the world, but everyone gets through it, so you gotta do it. You gotta do it. I think you throughout your talk you demonstrated how much impact small acts of kindness can have, whether it's big or small, and how those can really affect people. I mean, you were so excited about the little wheelchair, but then they gave you the actual wheelchair, and you could just see the emotion even today. And so I think that really demonstrates that. But what do you think are some of the best ways to spread happiness and kindness in the world?
To me, it's all about the little things. So actually look a stranger in the eye and say hi. That might be the best part of their day. They might have just had the worst news, and maybe just by you acknowledging them, that they are there and that they are a person, who knows, that could just change the world for the day. Hold a door open for strangers. Smile at people. It's funny because I like every time someone makes eye contact with me, I smile at them. And now, even though we're all in masks, you can still tell when people smile because their eyes squint. So when I see someone squinty eyes back at me, I'm like,
yes, it's so true. The masks have made it more difficult, but you can still tell. So yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, a smile can go a long way, and I think it's not so hard to be just like a friendly person to someone, because you never know what someone's going through. So I feel like a great way to just assume that like people just need that extra smile in their day, and I think that it can go a long way. So totally agree. On a similar note, obviously you see so much beauty in the world. You see the generosity, the support, the light, the love and kindness, which you talked about, which is super impressive considering, you know, everything you've been through. So what's your advice to people to see beyond that darkness and enjoy the beauty of the world?
Focus on your small focus on your small victories.
Yes.
Life can seem super overwhelming, and there's this picture that I love. I wish I had it printed off so I could show you guys, but it's of two ladders. And there's one ladder where the steps like 10 feet high before the first one. Mm-hmm. And then there's another ladder where the steps are really close together, which it's just to show the importance of small steps. If just focus on like the small victories. Mm-hmm. You were able to take the trash out. Yep. Or even if you don't have the energy to get up out of bed, focus on, it might sound weird, but I'm alive today. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm breathing, you know, I have a roof over my head. Yep. And I have a warm house. Mm-hmm. And I know it sounds silly, but those are things a lot of people take for granted that not everyone has.
Yes.
So that's what helps me, and hopefully it might help others.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, right? I mean, yes, what you're going through is difficult, but other people are also going through different things that are difficult, so it's easy to compare, but you know, it's definitely important to kind of level set in terms of trying to make it through the everyday. So I totally agree with that. I think it's a great tactic. So kind of focusing on POTS, I won't even try to say the whole name, but you've nailed it. For anyone that's tuning in who's also dealing with POTS, do you have any advice from your experience? And also for those who are not dealing with POTS, how can we support those in our lives who are dealing with POTS or any similar syndromes?
The advice for my POTSies is give yourself grace. You know, this is hard. Mm-hmm. This is not easy. 25% of people who have POTS are completely debilitated, meaning like they can't work. Wow. And it's not their fault. It's just because their body is failing them. And you know, it can be so easy for us to compare our stories to one another. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, because there's a spectrum. Some people have very mild symptoms, and some people have very severe. So just give yourself grace. Don't compare yourself to other people's stories. Comparison is a thief of joy. Just don't do it. Focus on your journey and what you have control over, which is your thought process. Mm-hmm. and how you absorb the world around you. And for the people who are supporting them, mm-hmm. Please have lots of water and salty snacks. Yeah. That always helps. But have patience with us too, mm-hmm. because we realize our life is a roller coaster, and it can be very confusing for us, and we know it's confusing for you guys, because one day we might have the energy to, like one day I'll have the energy, and we've hosted family reunions, mm-hmm. but then I might not, I'm bedridden for a couple of days because all the energy it took for me to be there, but in my mind it was totally worth it. Right. But so what I'm trying to say is some days are better than worse, and this condition causes us to miss a lot of very important events in life sometimes. Mm-hmm. So please be understanding and have patience with us through this process.
Yes. Yeah. I can't imagine, not having, gone through it ourselves, or myself, it must be hard. You must find that a lot of people find it hard to relate to exactly, what's going on inside you. So I think that's great advice, besides the salty snacks and lots of water. I think it's, patience is definitely a great advice. So everyone, make sure to support your friends out there who are going through similar things. And I want to leave off with my man Albus again. So I loved your Harry Potter quote at the end, as a Harry Potter nerd myself. Just on a lighter note to leave us off, what house are you?
Hufflepuff.
Yes, me too. We're soul sisters. Love it. All right. Well, that was awesome, Amber. That is all the questions I have for you today. So I believe that concludes our talk. But I just want to give you another huge thank you for joining us and sharing your positivity. You really are a warrior, and I think we all have something to learn from you in terms of how to approach life in order to find happiness and freedom, and even in the darkest of times. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on your channel. I appreciate you.
Of course. All right. Now, before everyone goes, just a couple quick shout outs. If you want to share your story just like Amber did, let me know. Email us at empowermentpodium@gmail.com or message us on our socials. We have Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok accounts, all of which you can find by searching at Empowerment Podium or at the links in the description. So give us a follow there to stay up to date on when we'll be going live next and to see some replays of our previous stories. If you like this stream, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. You can also hit that notification bell to receive a notification every time we post a new video or live stream. And with that, thank you all again for tuning in.